Hey everyone, and welcome back to a discussion video. One of the biggest gripes people seem to have with Dragon Ball Super, or even just Dragon Ball in general, has to do with Goku. And of course, as the main character, it makes sense that people are concerned if he's ever being written poorly or if he does questionable things. The big concern about Goku is that a lot of people think he's kinda, well, dumb. Or at least has done a lot of dumb things over the past few years. Why is that? Is it actually fair to call him stupid? In this video, I'm going to delve into some of the more questionable things Goku has done or said that would lead people to believe he's stupid, as well as looking at his character overall and determining it with some subjective and objective points. Now, I can't cover every quote-unquote dumb Goku moment, or smart Goku moment for that matter, but I'm going to be looking at the biggest ones and trying to look at his character overall with the biggest scope that I can. Now, this obviously isn't really anything new. People have thought this forever and discussed it, basically as long as Goku's been around. And I mean, while he was a kid, it might be more understandable for him to act somewhat childish, but a lot of the discussion is around Goku in the current day. And it's somewhat justified. He acts pretty naive, talks very straightforwardly without any filter, and on the outside appears to be somewhat simple-minded. But it's not as clear-cut as that. Now, there's a few examples of questionable moments that I'll go over, but also some examples and evidence that go against it. I mean, we don't want this to be completely one-sided. A lot of people tend to think it's a problem with Dragon Ball Super, but Goku hasn't really acted this way just in Dragon Ball Super. He's had his fair share of questionable moments in the other series too. First, there's no way I can make a video without mentioning probably one of the biggest scenes that people point to when talking about this: Goku giving Cell a Senzu Bean. A lot of people think it was a reckless move and that Goku is endangering everyone by doing this. And they're absolutely right. He's literally healing the guy threatening to blow up the planet, all for the sake of a good fight. Well, at least for a good fight with his son. He wants it to be fair, which doesn't really make sense when you're going up against a villain. Now, that's not to say that he did this for no reason. He was just pretty confident in Gohan going into this fight. Hence, he gives Cell a Senzu Bean thinking it won't change anything, thinking that it'll be an easy win for Gohan. And in the grand scheme of things, it probably wouldn't have changed much. If Cell had remained weakened, it's very likely that Gohan would have just fought him and defeated him, but have no intent of killing him. And eventually Cell would try to encourage Gohan to fight with his full power, creating the Cell Juniors and all that nonsense, getting Gohan to unlock Super Saiyan 2, and then the fight just basically goes the same from there. But even though Goku had a reason behind it, it's a very dumb one. It was a cocky and reckless idea that could have been very disastrous, and it didn't justify helping the guy trying to kill him. Not to mention, he was way too confident in Gohan, and yeah, Gohan might have had the power to do this, but without realizing that Gohan didn't want to fight in the first place, it was a really bad idea. For the sake of this video, I'll consider this a quote-unquote dumb Goku moment. He wanted to prepare Gohan to fight and be like him in case he were ever gone, and this isn't the last time he does something like that. In the Buu saga, a lot of people tend to talk about the fact that Goku hid Super Saiyan 3 and could have helped kill Buu. But Goku's reasoning for not doing that is a little more complicated, and it might not even really have been his choice. Goku has explicitly stated in the saga that he wanted to prepare the next generation to fight and defend the Earth while he was dead. I mean, when he went Super Saiyan 3 against Buu, he should have just killed him, right? Well, I'm actually going to defend Goku here. It is very risky that he's doing this, but honestly, it makes sense to me kinda. Goku wanted to be assured that, if another threat comes to the planet, every living Z-Fighter would be able to handle it without his help, because as far as he knows, he's never going to come back again. When you put it like that, again, it's a little reckless, but it makes sense when you consider it on a larger scale. Not to mention, if he did fight Buu in Super Saiyan 3, for all we know, because of the huge stamina drain of Super Saiyan 3, he could have just used up all his time on Earth just from this fight alone. But that's not where I'm going to end here. There are two other things here in the Buu saga to cover that a lot of people talk about. First is Goku's fight with Majin and Vegeta, another part where Goku doesn't go full power. And while this is to give Vegeta a fair fight and preserve his pride, it's kind of the same with Cell, it's just a dumb idea. While it may have been too late and could have provided enough energy for Buu if he went Super Saiyan 3, who knows, it may have been enough to beat Vegeta without giving too much energy to awaken Buu. While it is stupid, I do have one defense for it that's pretty crucial. As I mentioned before, this might have not been Goku's fault at all. This may be because Toriyama hadn't thought of Super Saiyan 3 yet. We all know that he kinda just made stuff up as he went along, especially in the Buu saga. And if that's the case, well, that actually means Goku didn't really do anything wrong here. The only thing holding him back from winning was something that might have not been thought of yet. And along with that, even if it was thought of and he was legitimately hiding it, it could have drained his time on Earth like I said before. So calling this a dumb moment is kinda questionable. It might have been completely out of his control due to writing, or he might have just not done it because of his little time on Earth, or the fact that he didn't want to awaken Boo by going Super Saiyan 3. Maybe he thought it would give enough energy to awaken Boo whether he won the fight or not. Or maybe, in the worst case scenario, who knows? But later on in this arc, before the conclusion, we have the aftermath of Super Boo turning into Kid Boo. As the planet is being destroyed, Goku can only grab a few people around him and save them. Now in a situation like this, who do you think he'd decide to save? Gohan and Goten, his two sons, are right there, as well as Trunks, Vegeta's son, as well as Piccolo. Well, he doesn't save any of them. He saves Mr. Satan, or Hercule, whatever you want to call him, his dog Bee, and Dende. Now, the Dende one makes a little bit of sense, because no Dende means no Dragon Balls, but no planet also means no Dragon Balls. So that's strike one. Mr. Satan, pretty useless at first, and they didn't know he was going to be helpful later. Strike two. Bee, he's a dog, and again, kinda useless here. Strike three. Now, I do want to consider this a side effect of stupidity, but this actually is essential to the plot, and it may be kinda different than you'd think. I want to consider this plot-induced stupidity, something that is necessary for the plot to go forward, but makes the character look kinda stupid. Obviously, Bee doesn't really do anything, but saving Mr. Satan and Dende obviously ends up being very beneficial. We get the whole business with Dende's shit and the Namekians using the Dragon Balls, which honestly still could have been done without Dende, but Dende was an important player in supporting Goku and Vegeta during the fight. And obviously, Mr. Satan being there actually ended up saving the universe. Without him, there'd be no full power Spirit Bomb and Boo wouldn't have been defeated. So it worked out in the end. And you know what, if you even want to argue it, Mr. Satan kinda saved all of the universes. Without Goku alive, there wouldn't end up being a tournament of power, and Zeno probably would have just erased all of the weaker universes, without giving them a chance to fight. But Goku didn't know this would happen, obviously, and he didn't know Mr. Satan would be useful. So while it turned out well, yeah, I'd say this might be a sign of stupidity, but plot-induced stupidity. Now the issue isn't necessarily these big moments where he acted a little dumb. It's mainly the fact that overall, in Dragon Ball Super really, he's seemingly become a lot more clueless. Yeah, he's had these kind of moments before in like Z or even Dragon Ball. You know, one that comes to mind is when he has to propose to Chi-Chi. But especially in Super, you could tell by the way he acts or talks sometimes, or just how he interacts with others. Look at how he acted when meeting Zeno, the guy who literally ruled all of the universes and could erase someone with no effort at all. And he picks him up and he's like shaking his hand and flinging him around. Or Zamasu, a literal god in training really, and he just wants to fight him and test his power when he knows that this guy is potentially dangerous. Or literally any new character that's been introduced. Even with Hit, he knows the guy's an assassin, and what does he do? He wants to have a fair fight with him, so he hires a hit on himself and literally dies from this. And he's only saved because he knows he's gonna die. Or at least he nearly died, but it's pretty much the same thing. And sometimes, he's only looking to fight strong people without any regard for others. That's what led to the entire Tournament of Power arc. And yes, while it was very selfish of Goku to try and set up this tournament, and it's really bad on the surface when you look at it, thinking that he's putting trillions of lives on the brink of extinction, consider this. Just like I said before, had Goku not set up the tournament, Zeno would have just destroyed all the participating universes anyways. The Tournament of Power actually ended up saving every universe. Goku was viewed as a villain by the other universes at first, but ironically, he's their savior. But alongside that, he does have his fair share of dumb moments in Super, like the whole Mafuba thing. Goku forgets the seal for the container, which is probably the most important part of the whole process, which lets Zamasu escape after he gets contained by Trunks. There's no point in sealing someone if they aren't actually sealed. And if you remember this, it could have ended the arc much earlier. Now, I know that wouldn't make for an interesting story for some, but it's another case of plot-induced stupidity, since, yeah, that kind of would have been a very boring end to the arc. But the issue with that is, it's not the first time he does it in this arc alone. In the beginning of it, he forgets to bring senzu beans with him, which are crucial to their survival and something that you would think he'd bring every time he goes to fight. You would think he would at least learn from forgetting the senzu beans, but nope, he doesn't. So I'm sure you've seen a trend by now. A lot of Goku's stupid moments actually end up working out in the end. Whether he intends them to work out, or it's just some weird coincidence that one action leads to another. Although not intentional, the fact that they always turn out good makes me think that this isn't him making bad choices. It's more so kind of plot armor for him, but also plot-induced stupidity, like I said before, made for the sole purpose of moving the plot along. In a weird way, his cluelessness is essential to the story, but of course that doesn't completely excuse it. There are other non-essential moments in the plot where he just lacks awareness, or he's just kind of dumb. Kind of like the scene where he says he never kissed his wife because he doesn't know that people do that. I have literally no defense for that. That's just dumb. That's really stupid. Once again, you'd think he would learn after, he proposed to Chi-Chi thinking that marriage is food. But nope, he doesn't. By looking at all of these, to me, the true villain here is the writing. Plot-induced stupidity is what causes Goku to look this way. Not only is the writing kinda lazy, but it just makes Goku look like a worse character. If it's something played off for gags, sure, that's fine, but when it's done over and over again and deteriorates the main character, that's a big issue. Thankfully, as Super went along, this issue somewhat got fixed. In the tournament itself, Goku wasn't actually as dumb as he's been acting in the rest of Super. And beyond that, in things like the Broly movie or the ongoing Moro arc in the manga, it seems that the plot relying on Goku's bad choices may end up being a thing of the past. At least, one can hope. It's a step in the right direction. So what did you guys think of this video? Who's really to blame here, and is it fair to call Goku stupid? Let me know in the comments below, and leave your thoughts. And as always, if you liked the video, remember to drop a like, and make sure to subscribe as well as hitting the bell icon to be notified of any future videos I make. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.